Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a bitter pill most people refuse to swallow. Wealth isn't complicated. It's simply inconvenient. It demands behavior most people can't stick to. Everybody wants to be rich, but few want to do what rich people actually do. They want excitement, not discipline. They want shortcuts, not systems. They want to look successful instead of becoming successful. And that's why the majority will struggle financially for a lifetime, chasing magic instead of math. Now, listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is the best financial advice you'll ever hear. And it works whether you're 18 or 80. Most people lose the money game before they've even begun, and the tragedy is they don't realize it until decades later, when time is no longer their ally. Spend less than you earn sounds almost laughably simple, yet it is one of the rarest behaviors in modern life. The average person earns 100 and spends a 110 because the world has trained them to value image over actual stability. They chase comfort, convenience, and approval, and they mortgage every future dollar just to look like they belong today. The true secret is learning to live quietly, rationally, and deliberately beneath your financial potential, even when your ego screams for more. A person who lives below their means automatically creates breathing room. That gap becomes the seed of wealth. The problem is emotional, not mathematical. People don't want limits. They don't want discipline, and they don't grasp that every unnecessary purchase steals from their future. A new car bought on credit doesn't just cost money, it destroys compounding, the single greatest force in wealth creation. The irony is painful. The very people who complain about money often behave in the most self-destructive ways with every paycheck. Self-control feels like sacrifice, but in reality, it is liberation. When you spend less than you earn, you buy something priceless: choice. You gain the right to walk away from bad jobs, toxic environments, and desperate decisions. You gain time, dignity, and the ability to think clearly without financial panic clouding every judgment. The world rewards that kind of calm, because the people who aren't drowning in debt can afford to wait, observe, and act rationally. Living below your means is not about deprivation. It is about refusing to trade your freedom for fleeting pleasures. It is about cultivating the quiet confidence of knowing that each month you grow stronger and less dependent. The paradox is the sooner you learn to restrict your spending, the sooner you can expand your life. That is why the plain, unglamorous discipline of spending less than you earn stands taller than any clever investment strategy. You cannot build wealth without a foundation, and this is the foundation. Anyone can start today. Earn a little, save a little, invest the difference, and give compounding something to work with. While others sprint toward a lifestyle they cannot sustain, the wise walk slowly and deliberately toward a future they fully own. Most people have money flowing into their lives like a river and flowing out just as fast, leaving nothing to show for years of work. The simple act of investing every time you get paid separates those who build wealth from those who merely dream about it. The moment your income arrives, A battle begins between your future self and your present impulses. Too many people let the impulse win, and the future version of themselves suffers for it. The financially intelligent treat every paycheck like an opportunity to build ownership, not consumption. When you invest consistently, you turn money into a silent army that labors on your behalf while you sleep. $1 invested becomes $2, then $5, then $10, not through magic, but through the relentless mathematics of compounding. The key is discipline, not luck. It does not matter where you start. It matters that you start and refuse to stop. Small sums invested regularly outperform large sums invested occasionally. The timing of your first dollar matters far more than the size of your tenth. People underestimate how much difference automatic behavior makes. If you wait to invest what's left over, you will never invest anything. Life expands to consume every dollar that sits idle. Bills grow, wants multiply, and temptation calls louder than reason. The wise approach is to invest first and build your lifestyle around what remains. This single choice flips your financial life from reactive to intentional. You move from being someone who spends and hopes to someone who owns and compounds. The world is crowded with opportunities disguised as distractions. Flashy trends, hype stocks, and speculative gambles prey on impatience. Wealth favors those who quietly accumulate assets. Strong businesses, broad market funds, rental properties, predictable returns. Investing on every payday aligns your behavior with success. You plant seeds regularly instead of waiting for perfect conditions that never arrive. You do not need superhuman talent to succeed, just consistency. Each deposit into your investment account reinforces the identity of someone who prioritizes tomorrow over today. Over years, that habit transforms into freedom. While others pay interest, worry about bills, and chase jobs they dislike, the disciplined investor watches their net worth. Slowly at first, then suddenly transform into a powerful engine that finances choices instead of obligations. The simple ritual of investing every time you get paid is how ordinary people become wealthy without ever winning the lottery, timing the market, or hoping for miracles. Most fortunes are not lost because people lack knowledge or intelligence. They're lost because people behave foolishly. Avoiding stupidity sounds unimpressive, even boring. Yet it is the most practical path toward lasting wealth. Wealth is rarely built by striking gold. It is far more often protected by refusing to dig yourself into holes you can't climb out of. People crave brilliance, complexity, and secret shortcuts, but they ignore the far simpler truth. Just stop making preventable mistakes, and you'll outrun most of the crowd. The first danger many people walk into is debt, particularly the high-interest kind disguised as convenience. Credit cards, loans for depreciating toys, and financial commitments made to impress others quietly drain your future capacity to build wealth. Every dollar in interest is a reminder that you are paying for yesterday's decisions, rather than investing in tomorrow's opportunities. The tragedy is not that people borrow, but that they get comfortable living in chains they forge themselves. Beyond debt, The next trap is chasing excitement rather than rationality. The desire to get rich quickly lures countless people into speculation. Hot stocks, trends with no substance, guaranteed returns, and businesses that appeal more to emotion than arithmetic. They are seduced by noise and blinded by urgency, forgetting that real wealth is a long game. The irony is that in trying to leap forward, they end up falling backward faster than those who simply moved steadily and sensibly. Another way people sabotage their finances is by choosing the wrong company. Friends who normalize reckless spending, partners who lack discipline, or business relationships built on hope instead of due diligence. Surrounding yourself with foolish people multiplies your risk. You take on their habits, inherit their anxieties, and get dragged into their catastrophes. Avoiding stupidity is not just about what you do. It is just as much about who you allow into your financial life. In truth, being cautious, patient, and skeptical is a superpower in a world addicted to urgency and impulse. You do not need to be the smartest person in the room to build wealth. You just need to refuse to be the one making obvious mistakes. The road to prosperity is littered with people who were brilliant in theory, but foolish in practice. The quiet discipline of avoiding clear, predictable pitfalls is enough to put you ahead of 9 out of 10 people. Wealth is not only earned, it is preserved by staying rational when others insist on being reckless. Most people quit right before wealth starts working in their favor because compounding looks painfully slow in the beginning. It requires patience that modern society is no longer taught to value. Everyone wants immediate results, instant profit, and overnight success stories. They forget that compounding isn't a sprint, it's a quiet marathon where the finish line only becomes visible to those willing to stay on the track long after everyone else has left the stadium. The first few years often feel like nothing is happening. You invest money, wait, watch, and see almost no noticeable change. That's where most people make their biggest mistake. They interfere with the process, pull their money out, panic, switch strategies, or chase something faster. They interrupt the one force in finance powerful enough to change their lives. What compounding truly requires is behavior and temperament, not brilliance. It demands that you sit still while others run in circles. It asks you to be calm while others are emotional, rational while others are frantic, and disciplined while others are unpredictable. Compounding doesn't reward noise or excitement. It rewards consistency and endurance. You plant small seeds regularly, month after month, year after year, and resist the urge to dig them up every time the market trembles or your feelings get nervous. The early stage is the desert phase. You feel like you're walking endlessly with no shade in sight, but you trust that the oasis exists if you keep moving forward. Time is the multiplier that transforms ordinary contributions into extraordinary outcomes. A few years compounds into a decade into a fortune. And once compounding hits its tipping point, the growth curves upward with a speed that feels miraculous. The same person who quietly invested small amounts for years suddenly looks like a genius even though nothing changed except the clock. Meanwhile, those who chased thrills and moved their money every time they felt impatient never reached that magical phase. They start over again and again, always resetting the compounding clock, always remaining at the bottom of the mountain because they refuse to climb slowly. Compounding is not just a financial tactic. It is a philosophy. It trains you to think long-term, ignore distractions, and trust arithmetic over emotion. It rewards the temperament most people never master. If you can allow your money to work uninterrupted through the storms and the sunshine, you will eventually achieve what the impulsive never will, the moment where your wealth grows faster than you can spend it. Not because you were brilliant, but because you simply didn't stop. Knowledge is the most profitable investment a person can make, 2 billion, yet it's the one most people neglect because its returns don't show up immediately on a bank statement. Learning relentlessly is the hidden engine behind smart decisions, strong judgment, and long-term wealth. The world pays extraordinary rewards to people who think better, see patterns earlier, and avoid obvious mistakes, all of which come from a lifetime of deliberate learning. Most individuals stop learning the moment they leave school, believing education is a phase, not a habit. Meanwhile, the people who quietly devour books, study reality, and upgrade their thinking continue to separate themselves year after year. Reading and learning compound just as money does. Each new insight makes the next one easier to understand. Each mental model expands your ability to solve problems, make good choices, and navigate uncertainty. Knowledge builds confidence. Not the loud, fragile kind based on opinions, but the quiet, steady confidence that comes from knowing how the world works. A well-informed mind becomes an internal compass in a world full of noise and misinformation. It helps you see clearly when others are confused, and that clarity translates directly into better decisions with your money, career, and relationships. Many people lose fortunes not because they are unlucky, but because they are uninformed. They trust the wrong people, follow emotional narratives, or fall for fast promises because they lack the tools to evaluate reality. Learning immunizes you against foolishness. It sharpens judgment and gives you the ability to say no to ideas that sound exciting, but make no logical sense. A lifetime reader has thousands of thinkers whispering wisdom in his ear, while the non-reader is left to rely on instinct and hearsay. Over decades, that difference becomes enormous. Continuous learning also expands your opportunity surface. The more you know, the more dots you can connect. You notice trends before they go mainstream. You recognize value where others see confusion. You develop a sense for what is worth pursuing and what is not. Curiosity becomes a competitive advantage. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to keep learning long after others get comfortable. When your brain compounds, your decisions compound. And when your decisions improve, your financial outcomes follow. Knowledge pays the highest interest because once it's earned, it can never be taken from you. It guides you, protects you, and elevates you. And That is the kind of wealth that lasts a lifetime. Most people think wealth is built with spreadsheets and stock charts, but in reality, the greatest fortune is made through behavior. Mastering yourself is far harder than mastering the market. Yet it is the difference between building wealth and watching it slip through your fingers. Behave better than the crowd, and you instantly move ahead of the vast majority of people, because most are driven by impulse, emotion, envy, and impatience. Strong financial results are almost always a side effect of strong personal discipline. The crowd buys when prices soar, sells when fear takes over, and changes direction every time headlines scream a new story. They are tossed around like a leaf in the wind, always reacting, never thinking. Being different doesn't require genius. It requires the courage to remain calm while the world panics. Staying rational when everyone else is losing their mind is a superpower. Markets rise, fall, and fluctuate, but your behavior should remain consistent, steady contributions, long-term focus, and emotional restraint. It's not exciting, but it is profoundly effective. Money is emotional. It triggers fear, greed, insecurity, pride, and comparison. The financially foolish allow those emotions to dictate every decision. The financially wise build guardrails, automatic investments, spending rules, long-term strategies, so their feelings don't hijack their judgment. They understand that volatility is normal, setbacks are inevitable, and temporary losses are a cost of long-term success. They are not searching for drama. They are searching for certainty built through discipline. Another aspect of behaving better than the crowd is refusing to chase social validation. People spend fortunes trying to impress strangers who forget them by sunset. They buy luxury lifestyles on borrowed money, confusing appearances with progress. True wealth doesn't show off, it accumulates quietly. It lives below its means. It values independence over image. The moment you stop caring about what others think, your finances instantly become healthier, because every dollar no longer needs an audience. Long-term wealth belongs to the person who knows how to sit still, not forever, but long enough for their disciplined choices to bear fruit. It belongs to the thinker who questions trends instead of blindly joining them. It belongs to the investor who makes decisions based on logic, not noise. Master yourself before you try to master finance, because without emotional control, every strategy becomes fragile. When you behave better than the crowd, your money grows not by accident, but by design, and you build a financial life that endures long after the crowd has burned itself out.